The unit of mine workers kicking off its three-day policy conference in Boksburg. Today, the focus is supposed to be on organisational policies. High-profile ANC members also expected to address delegates. Newzroom Afrika's Nqobile Madlala is there. She joins us now. Nqobile, good afternoon to you. I imagine quite a lot of political action there too.
Yes, Stephen, we are expecting quite a lot of that to take place. I want to show you behind me that, of course, is the Deputy President. We spoke to him a bit earlier on, and he's already trying to get everybody to get started with the program, which we understand that the President of NUM will be speaking, and then we'll get to see quite a lot of those political parties coming in. But just to bring in now SACP to speak to us, I mean, I can imagine 41 years is what they're celebrating at this point. There's quite a lot that has happened in 41 years. Perhaps the question is today, what sort of policies are you looking to speak about?
Yeah, thank you very much. The most important thing is that this is one of the strongest unions of our federation, and we wish them well in this policy conference. They have to defend the right of workers to have access to work, the right to work, which as a Communist Party we are fighting to make sure that everyone in the country does have the right to work. The big bosses have announced retrenchments in the mining sector, and they have to respond to that because these retrenchments are not in line with what is happening in the markets, for instance, with the high prices of gold internationally and many other minerals that are highly sought after as international economies are recovering. But the mine bosses always want to maximize profit. That's why they go for the scapegoat of attacking workers. So they must develop from here appropriate policies to respond to the bosses on how to protect their right to work, how to remain in work, and making sure that they can also have solidarity with other workers who are facing similar problems of retrenchment. And I think it's very opportune that they are also meeting just after our elections, and the revolution has suffered such a major setback as a consequence of the outcomes of elections. So they need to review this, because this union in particular has been so fundamental in fighting for the rights of the African people, particularly from the perspective initially of the African Mine Workers Union, which was actually started by the South African Communist Party to be what it is as a union today.
And I mean, whilst we talk about what happened during the elections, we understand that you've been back and forth in meetings with ANC, which we also expect him to join part of this policy conference. Have you found each other in terms of the government of unity? What's your views as SACP still on coalition?
We are firm as a Communist Party about the ANC setting up government, minority government, of course, maybe with some features of GNU, Government of National Unity. But the Government of National Unity will not take us anywhere. The ANC must take responsibility to lead. It's the majority party elected by the people of this country. It should not create an impression that it's begging for others to govern. Without the ANC, there's no government. We have to go to another form of elections. These other parties can agree, can set up government. So it's critical that the ANC doesn't have to postpone this reality, but also it must understand the moment. The moment that it has been given by society is for it to decouple itself from capital, to de-link from capital, and become an independent organization, not beholden to any international or capitalist interests that have held back the development of our country appropriately, particularly in the hinterland of our country, in the rural communities, in rural areas, even in the townships, where we still have a lot of underdevelopment. So we have to take the gauntlet and make sure that we take responsibility for this moment and say the people have once again an opportunity of this nature presented itself through the vote to make sure that we lead society properly.
Thank you very much, Solly, for speaking to us. I want to bring in Kosatu now to speak to us about their view. I mean, today we can see NUM bringing in that policy conference, but what sort of policies at this point, as Kosatu, do you feel in these different sectors needs to be looked at?
Thank you very much. Of course, this is a policy conference of one of our founding unions as a federation, and what a time to convene a conference when indeed most of the rights and the benefits of the democracy over the past 30 years stand on the threshold, given the outcomes of the election. So I think that's being one of the first meeting of our affiliates as a federation. It's going to give us time to reflect on the policies that we need to develop in order to interact with the kind of government that we're going to be facing over the next 5 years. But also some of the policies that we already know, that were already under the contestations, being the National Health Insurance, for instance, which include the Health and Safety, the Mine Health and Safety Act that is supposed to be signed into law. But of course, the issues of the retrenchments that the workers have been going through over the past 3 years until towards the election. So we do think that this conference comes at an opportune time wherein workers are going to crystallize the challenges that are going to be facing going forward, but also chooses the few policies that they need to defend so that they are not facing a reversal of the gains of democracy.
And I mean, whilst we speak about government, the kind of government that you expect now going forward, how would then they deal with such issues in the mining industry and so on?
Well, look, as a federation, we have made our view clear to our alliance partner, the ANC, that we would have preferred a minority government, given the percentage that the South Africans have given as voters to the ANC. But of course, it is up to the discussion of the political parties about which one is the best way moving forward. However, for us, whoever comes into the government of national unity or a coalition for that matter must respect the rights that South Africans, the working class in general, have accumulated so far, but including the rights of workers. Unfortunately, there's a conglomerate of political parties that for over 3 decades have always been fighting against the workers' rights. They have always fighting to reverse and to reduce the protections that the workers have under the Labour Relations Act. And we do think that is going to be a bumpy road ahead, whichever way you look at it. But that's why we're saying this policy conference comes at the opportune time, wherein workers must now organize themselves to at least protect and defend that which they have.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Of course, that policy conference is going to be starting any time from now. You can see already there's quite a lot of activity that is taking place on the floor, Stephen. But very important there, they're saying that the workers need to be put first. It doesn't matter what kind of government might be there, but they need to ensure that the workers' rights are still protected and that they still have jobs in a sense.
Nqobile Madlala, thank you very much indeed. Do appreciate that update from that conference being hosted by the National Union of Mine Workers. I'm sure there'll be more political action there over the next couple of days ahead of Friday's big sitting and the provincial sittings. Well.